some vegetation material instead of proper meat.
So kind of out of desperation.
Yeah.
The team's starting to find clues that may solve this croc's mysterious death. While Alan Williams does more detailed pathology, the rest of the team wants to look inside a juvenile croc that also died in Samuels Park. It's been frozen and is being cut in half to reveal the intricate layout of its internal organs.
Let's start at the head. If we clear some of the ice out of this area here, we're just showing you the oral cavity right over here. So this is all ice that was in the mouth. And now we can see the tongue. Here's the tongue. The structure right here is tongue. And right behind the tongue is the overlap of the larynx with the soft palate. Right over here, there's that palatal valve. If we follow down here, we also have an esophagus that runs parallel to the trachea. Right below it is the heart. And below the heart is the liver. If we follow the stomach, which is right over here, we go on. This area here is the intestines, and eventually out through the cloaca. Overall, we see an animal that's really built for power. So much of its body is devoted to musculature for moving, both the legs and the neck and the tail. Only a small portion of it seems to really be devoted to the abdomen and thorax or the head region. But all the rest of this is very powerful.
Perhaps the ultimate test of a croc's body is in a head-to-head battle with another croc. And in the competition for food, other predators are always a threat. This gladiator's defense lies in its skin.
This is the skin from the bottom of the head under the jaw, continuing through the belly region all the way down to where the tail would begin. And we're looking at the belly surface of this animal, and you notice that it's a very light color. And this allows this animal to be countershaded, so prey that are below this crocodile looking up at it might not see it against the light color of the sky shining through the water. And you notice also that this belly surface is actually relatively smooth, even though it's armor plated. And that would allow this animal to easily slide along the mud flats if it's on the bank of the river and it wants to slide back into the river. But if we look at the other side of the animal, the back is very dark. So a wildebeest standing on the shore of the river might not see this crocodile swimming back up against the bank, because when you look down into the water, it looks dark. But the other thing is that it's not smooth anymore like it is on the belly. It's actually got a lot of bumps on it that are raised up quite a bit in the back here as you get towards the tail. Kind of looks like the spines you always imagine on a dragon going down its back. And this makes for wonderful armor. So if this animal was in a fight with another big male crocodile, this would keep the animal protected. So it's a wonderful bit of armor plating. In fact, even the ancient Egyptians and the Romans used this as armor. They would actually dry off an alligator skin, prepare it, and wear it as armor. So if we look at this armor more closely, we're actually going to try and understand the structure of it. Let's take a look at one of these scutes. If we pull one off by dissecting it off here, it's actually quite hard to cut through the skin here. If this were easy to cut through, it wouldn't be very good armor, would it? You see a lot of thick skin here, a lot of connective tissue. Let's take a look at what's inside one of these. We have a whole bunch of bones here that have been cleaned off, so you don't see the skin anymore. And they actually overlap one over the next, just like this. Leaving them overlap like that allows no chinks in the armor. So these animals are quite well protected when these armor plates are overlapping. Nice protection on it.
The croc's bony skin is an excellent shield. But in order for this cold-blooded animal to survive, it needs to absorb heat through this thick skin. It achieves this through a remarkable mechanism deep within the armor. Joy wants to investigate one of the bony plates to find out how they keep the croc warm.
Let's take a look at one of these that's been cut so we can see the inside of it. You can see very, very fine little channels running up and down here. These fine little channels are actually for blood vessels that are running up and down through the plate all the way to the surface. And then those blood vessels are going to run underneath the skin So this animal is going to be able to absorb a lot of energy from the sun, which is going to heat up the blood vessels and then be able to carry the heat back into the animal, kind of like a big solar panel. So that is going to allow a lot of heat exchange to occur all along the back of the animal.
From its bone-crushing bite to its armor-plated solar panels, the teams demonstrated the effectiveness of the croc's prehistoric adaptations. As tough as these animals are, something unusual happened to this crocodile for it to die young. The team has finished their examination of the entire crocodile, and pathologist Alan Williams can now deliver his final verdict on the cause of death.
If you remember, what we found in the stomach was a lot of this sort of soapy-like material, and it's got a single small stone which crocodiles are known to swallow to aid the digestion process. But apart from this and a bit of mucus, the stomach is empty, as indeed was the whole of the rest of the digestive system, which suggests to me that this crocodile hadn't been eating for quite some time. The big problem that this crocodile had, though, was in its lungs. And if you remember, when we were inflating the lungs, one of them didn't inflate particularly well. Well, there were also lots of abscesses present in this lung as well. So one here, for example, some smaller ones here, another one just here. And if we just cut into this larger abscess, it's very firm material, suggesting it's been there for some time. And we've got this lovely abscess with a thick capsule around it. That has taken weeks or longer to develop, probably enough to stop the crocodile eating. And this infection is now spread around the body. And the crocodile has been unable to cope with this particularly well, because if you look in this little jar here, the liver is floating, and they shouldn't do that. And what it's suggesting to me is that there's a lot of fat in the liver. So do you remember those fat pads were smaller than we'd anticipated?
The fat body is much smaller, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think the crocodile hasn't been eating because it's been unwell. The animal has been mobilising its fat reserves, sending it to the liver to be processed, and it's basically done it so quickly, then the liver gets overloaded and the cells swell up with all this fat and the cells stop working. So you're really into this vicious cycle, and that's what drags the animal down at the end of the day.
The crocodile died of a severe lung infection and the complications that followed. But the loss of this extraordinary animal provided the team the rare opportunity to explore ancient anatomy dating back to the time of the dinosaurs.
When one says that crocodiles have been around for a very long time, what one means is they haven't changed very much for a very long time. Presumably what it means is that they've found a very satisfactory way of life, and there's no particular reason to change it.
From the outside, crocodiles may look prehistoric, but this animal autopsy has shown they're anything but primitive. Their bodies are brilliantly adapted to the way they live, and surely that's why they've survived, unchanged, for so long.